This can change everything for the Houston Rockets as Alperen Sengun gave his first public comments since the end of the 2025 season, which were very, very detailed. And if you want to see what he said about Kevin Durant, his brand new teammate, well, we're going to break that down right here on Rockets Digest, all of those details right here in this video for all you guys. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo, and I just want to say thanks again for tuning into the channel. We are currently at 5,100 subscribers, and we're quickly growing here. So if you want to stay up to date on all your Rockets content throughout the entire offseason, this is the channel for you. Now, Alperen Şengün has been fairly quiet since the end of the 2025 season, but he's in Turkey. He's doing some things in Turkey, and so I'm going to tell you exactly what he's been doing. And he had an interview recently with a Turkey state media company, and so he gave his thoughts about what he's doing and also Kevin Durant. So first off, a quick update on our boy, Alperen Şengün. What is he up to so far this offseason? Well, later this month, the Houston Rockets center in 2025 NBA All-Star, he plans to play for his native Turkey in this year's Eurobasket 2025 competition. It'll be the 42nd edition of said competition, which represents the, get a load of this word, quadrennial International Men's Basketball Championship organized by FIBA. If anybody uses quadrennial in their vocabulary today, props to you. The tournament is being co-hosted by Cyprus, Finland, Poland, and Latvia, with games taking place from August 22nd to September 4th. So that's what he's going to be doing. He's going to be active. He's from August 27th to September 14th. He's playing basketball, which is right before the NBA season, right? Like, he is going to get a little bit of work in, get some reps in, and he's going to be, ready to go come regular season. But there was something in this interview with said media company that talked a little bit about Kevin Durant, and he spoke about his new teammate and how he feels about it and what he thinks Kevin Durant can do for this team. And so I'm going to give you the two quotes that he said in that interview right here. We're going to go straight to them. First thing he said about playing with Kevin Durant is, "I'm excited to play with Durant. Everyone is excited to play with him. It doesn't matter his age. Ultimately, he's Kevin Durant. I have no doubt he will bring a lot to the team." And in other news, water is wet, grass is green, and the sky is blue. And of course, Kevin Durant is going to make this team the best it can possibly be next season as a championship caliber team. Last year, very good team, but not as good as this roster is looking right now. And Kevin Durant is just going to bring it to the new level. And Alperen Şengün realizes that. He knows he is a key part of this team next season. I'm going to take you to his second quote from that interview, saying, quote, talking about Kevin Durant, "He's very experienced, and we have some very young players. I think he'll open up the game for us. He's incredibly effective, both offensively and defensively." And if you just watch KD play, you know this. You know the stats. We've shown you a lot of these, considering that we were trading for him. He was in the rumors of possibly getting here, but you recognize all these stats. Very, very solid. 52% from the field, 43% from three-point range. That's exactly what the Rockets need. He's going to bring that. He's going to be 37 come next season. And so that's a very high in age number, but still, Alperen Şengün knows it. Ime Udoka knows it. Rafael knows it. Everybody knows that he is going to bring this team to the next level because, quite frankly, he is Kevin Durant. He's one of the best scorers of all time. But what Alperen Şengün said about him in the aspect of helping the young guys, I think is a great thing for him to acknowledge. It's going to help him, who's, I believe, 22, 23 years old right now. He's very, very young. It's going to help him out. He knows it's going to help out guys like Amen Thompson, who is a stud defensively and is only just working about his offensive game. He also knows it's going to benefit Jabari Smith Jr., who had comparisons to Kevin Durant coming out of the NBA draft, 3 years ago now. Of course, comparing anybody to KD is a crazy task, and we'll talk a little bit about comparisons in just a second. But he knows that Kevin Durant is going to bring much more than winning games to this team. He's going to make everybody around him better. They have a bunch of very young players, according to Alperen Şengün, according to anybody with eyeballs and that can read. But yes, this team is going to be very young, but having a guy like KD and also still having Fred VanVleet in the mix is going to make this team all that much better, all that much wiser, and more able to communicate and build that chemistry within the team. So in that aspect, right, I'm very, very pumped up for this matchup. I think that duo of KD and Alperen Şengün running the pick and roll is going to be one of the toughest duos in the NBA. Very similar to like a Jokic, Jamal Murray. And the reason why I bring up Jamal Murray and Jokic is because I'm going to spin it back on Alperen Şengün for a second. He has a lot of things to prove in his next year in the NBA. I mentioned he's doing the stuff in Turkey. He's doing all that. Props to him in his homeland. And shout out to Turkey. We get a lot of viewers from Turkey. So if you're from Turkey, thank you. Thank you for tuning in to this channel. We very much appreciate it. But there is a lot of talk of Alperen Şengün putting the nickname, Baby Jokic talk, all that stuff, putting that to bed. Many of him have called him Baby Jokic. They've called him, is very comparable to him in terms of how they play, at least a little bit. And also, Alperen Şengün views Jokic as like a huge inspiration to his game. He talked to Boban Marjanovic, and Boban gave this quote not too long ago, who was in the new Happy Gilmore 2 movie, as I watched this, I found out last night. He said, this is talking about Alperen Şengün, quote, he used to tell me that next time Jokic and I go to dinner, we should invite him to. That was what Boban Marjanovic says Alperen Şengün had said about Nikola Jokic. And so Alperen Şengün has had a very high look at Nikola Jokic in terms of gameplay and how they both move the ball and how they both kind of use their big frame to their advantage, albeit Alperen Şengün still has a ways to go in terms of perfecting that. But nevertheless, right, these guys, both of their early seasons were statistically similar. Their year 4 box score season averages weren't worlds apart either. Şengün, in his 4th year in the NBA, averaged 19 points, 10 rebounds, about 5 assists, 1 steal, and 0.8 blocks. And in 2018-2019, which was Jokic's year 4 box score, box stats, whatever you want to call it, averaged 20 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 1.4 steals, and 0.7 blocks. So as you can see, there are some similarities to their growth in the NBA. There's some similarities in how they play. Obviously, they're European players coming to the NBA. Usually, European players, they're just more gifted, kind of all around and in their game. Right, they are able to contribute in many ways. It's not just like an offensive heavy guard who's doing 10,000 dribbles before they shoot a 3 that eventually hits the top of the backboard. It's like they're just more, I guess, all around players. And so there's some good comparisons between here. But I would also pump the brakes a little bit about that because the advanced stats paint a very different picture. They're very, very similar, but again, Şengün has a way to go in terms of, putting that Baby Jokic talk to bed and actually kind of being Jokic or being in that level of play, right? It doesn't have to be Jokic necessarily, but just needs to improve upon some of the things that he's struggled with, right? Şengün had a 4th year VORP, value over replacement player, of 3.9 to Jokic's 7. Oh, that's not necessarily double, but significantly higher. Şengün had a BPM, box plus minus, of 4.4 to Jokic's 9.1. That's more than doubled, if my math is correct. Almost more than double. PER, player efficiency rating, 21.4 to 26.3. Win shares, 8.3 to 11.8. True shooting, the one Şengün is criticized for the most, 54.5 to 58.9. So although the stats of, points and assists and rebounds were pretty similar, the advanced stats, the overall impact of said players on their teams, Jokic does have the advantage. So Jokic is, at year 4 of his career is a little bit of an up step, have the one up on Alperen Şengün in that aspect. And so Alperen Şengün, he's got a lot to work on in terms of him being more efficient, being more of a team player. Now, will he be able to do that with Kevin Durant also on the floor? How exactly does that change the offense? You could make the case that, because Kevin Durant's going to be on the team, he's going to have less opportunities. He's not going to have as good as numbers. You could also make the case that Kevin Durant could help him with those numbers in terms of the offense that they run that is more Şengün friendly, or opening up Şengün to be more of an offensive presence when they're going to double team KD pretty much every single play. Or you can go both ways about it, but ultimately I think this is a good opportunity for Şengün to really just excel and make himself that much better. And I want to take it to this final quote from this article. And one of the things it says has got me a little bit iffy. I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to go ahead and explain my thoughts. To some people, Şengün is an inefficient post-scoring big with subpar rim protection. Fair. In 2024-25, that's essentially what he was. The irony is that he was still the best part of Houston offense, and Houston's defense with Sengun was still very, very good, which is also fair. Just this quote right here, the one in blue. A more realistic ceiling for Sengun might be a coachable DeMarcus Cousins rather than Jokic 2.0. A coachable Boogie Cousins is still one heck of a player, but nobody really knows what Sengun's ceiling is yet or whether he'll ever get there. 2025-26 will be a good opportunity to start finding out. And it's that blue highlighted part, as you can tell. A more realistic ceiling for Sengun is a coachable DeMarcus Cousins. Now I'm going to go out and say it before anything. DeMarcus Cousins, very talented player, was one of the most dominant players when at his prime, right? There was no stopping DeMarcus Cousins. He was, great player, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Comparing Sengun to DeMarcus Cousins is probably a comparison that Rockets fans kind of don't want to be made, just because DeMarcus Cousins, for as good as he was for that short period of time, quickly kind of, filtered out and blah, blah, blah. And you could say, oh, that's because he wasn't as coachable. And I do get the whole argument of, okay, a more coachable DeMarcus Cousins would have just excelled and been great. But still, comparing Sengun to DeMarcus Cousins is a little bit of an icky feeling inside when that comparison is made. But I understand where it's coming from, right? Alperen Şengün, if you're comparing him to Jokic on a daily basis and you're saying that he's going to be the next set, it's very hard. Jokic is a, three-time MVP at this point. He's one of the best players, top 20 players in NBA history, probably. You can make that argument, whatever. And so it's very hard to even compare a guy in year 4 heading into year 5 to that top 20 player, right? It's an unfair comparison, similar to Jabari Smith to KD. It's a very high bar. And so when I see DeMarcus Cousins, I go, okay, I get what you're saying, but I also kind of don't really want to make that comparison either. Because I think at the end of the day, right, Alperen Şengün is going to just be Alperen Şengün. He is going to be a player that's going to help this Rockets organization get to the next step and win a championship for the first time in 30 years. And I think as he does that, yes, he has inspirations from different players. That is going to be his goal, to be the best version of himself. And that pretty much wraps up our theme for today. Be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Hoorah. I want to bring it back to you guys. How many points per game do you think Alperen Şengün will score next season? Let me know in the comments. Do you think it will be more or less? Last year he had, I believe, 19. What do you think it will be this year? I personally think he's going to cross 20. I want to say 21, 22, kind of where Jalen Green was last year, and then Kevin Durant be a little bit above that as well. He won't be our leading scorer, I don't think, with KD on the roster, but we shall see. Let me know in the comments what you think his PPG will be next season. Let me know. And as always, if you made it to the end of the video, that tells me you are a true Rockets fan. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. But that pretty much wraps up this episode of Rockets Digest. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo. We'll see you on the next one.